All right, so this video is going to be on this knife, and this is the SOG Terminus XR. So first off, I got this knife because it was being sold in a kind of combo deal for a relatively good price, what I thought was a pretty good price, and it looked like it had some good features. So first of all, what is it? So SOG is doing this new series called the XR series based on this lock that they're calling the XR lock. And you're probably familiar with this lock as the Axis lock, although it does have some modifications from the Axis lock. So you'll notice that rather than these kind of studs like on the Axis lock, it has these ramped buttons, and they work really well actually. I noticed right away that it's really easy to pull back on those buttons, and I think that that's in part because they are ramped like that. Now, one thing is that this does seem to be a plastic button, whereas on most, if not all, Benchmades, they're metal, but I don't think that's something that's going to be a durability problem. Another difference between this and the Axis lock is that it seems to have a pretty significantly stronger spring behind the lock bar that goes across. So what that does is it makes it so that it pulls the blade in really strongly. And then it also makes for better flipping than I've had on Axis lock knives, because it makes for a little bit more of a detent, a stronger detent. So you have to get past that detent, and that makes it so it flips open pretty well once you do get past the spring pressure from the lock. So I've been enjoying this XR lock, and that's the first thing I really noticed when I took this knife out. It is advertised as being able to open 3 ways. I'm assuming that that's the flipper, which you can see works really well. The thumb stud, you can flick it open or just press it open. And then also, as you know, people who enjoy messing around with Axis locks know, you can just pull the lock back and swing it open and closed. So the lock is the first thing I noticed. It works really well. Really nice, smooth. The pivot itself is well done. There's no blade play, but it is drop closed, as you can see, and goes the whole way. So I was really impressed with the application of this lock. And the reason that, you know, SOG is able to do this lock, that although it's not called the Axis lock and it has some modifications, it's very similar, is that the copyright or patent or trademark or whatever it was on the Axis lock has run out. So you're going to be seeing more knives with this type of lock. The second thing that I was interested in is you'll notice that, first of all, it's not a super large knife. So I'll give you some comparisons. Here is a Kershaw Injection 3. Here is a Spyderco Native 5, and where that came from. And here is the Wee Knives Banter. So you can see it's kind of in that same category of size. Give you all 4 of those here. And definitely not a huge knife on the smaller end for knives that I like to carry. So when I got the knife, I was a little bit concerned by the fact that you'll notice it has a little upturn at the end of the handle. And I was somewhat concerned that that upturn would make for an uncomfortable handle, being that your, pinky or whatever might sit on it. And I haven't found that at all. I don't know if it's just because it is rounded or if it's because it's a small upturn, but in, holding it, I haven't even really noticed that bump. So I was happy that that didn't bother me, and the handle does have some nice chamfering along it, as you can see, and it is pretty nice feeling G10. It has some good grippiness to it. So happy with the handle for sure. And then moving on to the blade, it is, where does it say it? D2 steel. Now, I really like D2 steel. I've used it a lot. I'm used to sharpening it, and I kind of have a good feel for how it, retains an edge and things like that. So I really like D2 steel, and I think that, SOG probably does a good job of it. Some people don't like it, but I do. So I was happy with that, especially for the price. And then it's a really nice kind of almost a clip point, kind of between a clip point and a drop point. You can see it does have a little cut off here. So I would call it a clip point, but it's a very subtle clip point. So nice blade shape, some straight edge, then a good, kind of gentle curve of belly towards the tip, which is definitely a usable tip. And the blade has a stonewash finish that I think looks pretty good. So all of that is, really nice. Like I said, this came as a combo deal, $60 for this and the SOG Power Access multi-tool. So, I got this out of the, package and was opening and closing it and everything like that, and was really, impressed with what SOG was able to, bring to the market for basically $30, if you split it between the two things in the combo deal. Now, I think this knife is normally about $60. So even for $60 with this, nice G10, D2 steel, really well done action, as you can see, nice flipping, nice thumb stud, easy to open and close, drop closed, no blade play. It's a pretty, solid knife for $60. And then I put it in my pocket, and that's where the big issue arose. So everybody is fired up about deep carry clips, right? Most people, I'd say the vast majority of people, want deep carry clips, especially people who are looking for a relatively smaller modern knife like this. And SOG did that. They gave them a deep carry clip. But the problem is that unlike some other deep carry clips where it is attached at the butt of the handle rather than on the side, this one has this curve. And what happens when you put this in your pocket is your pocket material, the edge of your pocket, doesn't stop here. It goes around that curve somewhat. And then when I put it in my pocket the first time, I just couldn't get it out. I was pulling and pulling and pulling. I even lifted up on the clip a little bit, pulled, and I could not get it out of my pocket without, ended up having to use two hands. And I realized that was what was happening. Your pocket material goes not just to here, but turns that corner and then gets stuck, because when you try to pull it out, it's actually, getting stuck on the lip of the butt of the handle. And I thought maybe it was just, I was wearing shorts that had kind of like a reinforced pocket thing. So I thought it might just been that, but I tried it in another pair of pants, normal pocket, and the same thing happened. So it's honestly, for me, to the point where I don't think I would carry this knife because of that. Because if you put a knife in your pocket and you can't get it out without two hands, then what's the point? You can even get a traditional knife out of your pocket with one hand. You might have to open it with two hands, but so I really think that's a design mistake. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't catch it before they brought this knife to the market. I don't know if other people have had the same issue or not, but for me, maybe I'm pushing the knife in my pocket too hard. But for me, it basically makes this knife a knife that I'm not going to carry. So really unfortunate, because like I said, everything else about this knife I'm really a fan of. And I'm actually, what this is doing essentially for me is I want to try other, of SOG's recent XR series, other knives of that series. Because if they're as well made as this knife, then I think that they, are going to be nice knives. But I won't be getting any that have this style of pocket clip that, rather than just being flat and then going down, or even just being on the handle, because I appreciate a deep carry pocket clip, but it's not a huge deal to me. But I won't be getting any that have this curve at the top, because at least for me, it makes it unnecessarily difficult to get the knife out of the pocket. So if you're interested in this knife, I would say, be aware of that, and maybe check out, another knife in SOG's XR series, and make sure it has a different pocket clip, because again, I think that this is a really, really nice knife other than that clip, and it's a real shame. But as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like the video, leave any comments you have, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell for notifications. Go ahead and check out my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like this and knife topics. Check out my social media, all at Knife Thoughts. And as always, don't forget to go out and do good.